You are welcome to the Wealthy Continent channel, a channel dedicated to the great people and continent of Africa. Remember, it is not the place that defines the status of the people. Rather, it is the people that defines the status of the place. As we continue our journey of financial literacy, we're going to be looking at the topic, it takes time to settle abroad. Now, if you've decided to migrate from Africa, whether to the G7 or G20 countries, I want you to know that it's going to take you time to settle. It's not just going to happen, you just get there and everything starts working. Like everything, even if you move from, abroad to Africa, it's still going to take you time to settle. So it's a normal thing. It's going to take you some time to find your feet in the new location. One of the things you have to know is that when you move from Africa to the G7 or G20 countries, you have to understand something, that you are starting at fresh. You are starting a new life in a new location. It doesn't mean that your experience, is obsolete. It doesn't mean that what you know how to do cannot be used. It just means that you are using what you know in a new location. I believe there are two types of things that, you need to consider when settling. Now, the number one thing is how fast you settle depends on you. Some people are proactive, very proactive concerning their life. They will find out what they need to do. They will find out the places they need to go. They will find out what type of things that they need to get involved in. They are very proactive. While some people are very sloppy, sluggish, and they just wait for things to happen or things get late before they start running to do things. So that is an individual thing. So you might see two families, you might see two friends, you might see people who move from a location together to find themselves in the same country abroad, and one would quickly settle and the other person will still be struggling because of individual input. While somebody is just allowing everything to just happen on their own, one is making things happen, doing things, getting involved, getting to know people, getting to know what to do, getting to know the things that they need to do part-time. That is an individual thing. The second thing that you have to consider when settling are processes and procedures. Now, in the country that you are going to, there are going to be processes and procedures. There are things that would take its time because that's the way it works. It's systematic. So that you may not have control over that, but the one that you can control it. Now, in settling in another country, another nation, there are things I'm going to be sharing with you that I believe will help you to settle quickly. The number one thing is try and understand the people, the indigene of the location. Observe, listen. Listen to what they say. Listen to how they respond, how warm they are or hostile they are to foreigners. Just pay attention and listen and watch and observe. Try as much as possible to understand the people. It will help you a lot because then you'll know how best to communicate, how best to relate with the indigene of that country. So understanding the people matter. Don't just come in and settle with your own group. Try to understand how things are being done by the people in that country. The number two thing is understand the system. It's not going to be the same system from where you're coming. It's going to be completely different. The way things are being done outside Africa in the G7 or G20 countries are different. So you have to understand, how does this thing work here? If you understand the system, you can take advantage of the system because the system is there to serve you. But if you don't pay attention to how things work, there's a limit to what you can do with the system because you lack knowledge. So you have to understand that the system play, a major role in your life. The number three thing I want you to understand is your immigration status. In the West, they will ask you, okay, what is your immigration status? How are you linked to this? Because some of the social facilities or amenities or services will require you, presenting your immigration status. So it affects some things and the way you live. So make sure that you are on top of it. Make sure that you have the right status. It's going to help you Not to do anything, but just to ensure that things run smoothly. That's all. You are still the one to make things happen in your life. So those things are very, very important. Make sure that you have, a status that is working. And if you need to regularize it, make sure that you are on top of it. It is very, very important. The number 4 thing is, how can you generate income? It means that you need to work. You need to work. You need to know, how to generate income where you are. No matter how much you bring in to the country, there are expenses. You get into it. Very few people will come into a country and buy a house straight away. People will rent. And you're going to eat, you're going to pay rent, you're going to, pay for transportation. So you have to look at all those things and see how they work. So you have to get a job. If you're into business, you have to start business and settle. You need to be generating income as soon as possible. The number 4 thing or 5 thing is, ensure that you understand the cost of living. You have to now prioritize your expenses. Personally, I would suggest that you make your needs your priority. Wants and desires will come later. You need to settle. So you need to know what you need, the type of food you're going to eat, clothing. Just make sure that the essentials are covered. If you do this and pay attention and just stay with essentials while your desires and wants, they're on the back burner, then they will find their way to the front when the time comes. But prioritize your expenses. Make sure that, you just focus on essentials. Very, very important. Lastly, if you go to a new location, you have to form new relationship. So be open. Be open to form new relationship, talk with people, get to know people, see what they do, see how they do things. Just communicate with people. You never can tell the connections you make. Just make sure that your core values are in place. Your belief, your conviction, what you stand for, who you are. Don't throw them out of the window. You can form relationship. You can build relationship, retaining your values. Very, very important. Now, these 6 things will help you to quickly settle. And like I said, your own personal input is required as well. Now, a word of advice to those who are married. If you're bringing your spouse in or you're coming together, make sure you're on the same page, because there's going to be tension when you move to a new place. There's going to be some pressure, there's going to be some stress, because you are in a new place, you are still finding your feet. But if you are on the same page, you know exactly what you are doing, you know what you are going for, and you have children with you, every one of you on the same page, is going to make things smoother. People will understand. There will be patience. There will be perseverance. But if it's one-sided, the tension can become an explosion. And that is not good. That is not going to be good for the relationship. And it's not even going to help you settle down on time. Remember, it takes time to settle. People have this myopic understanding that if they just come abroad, they will settle and everything will start to work. It doesn't work that way. And you have to understand. Now, if you've been getting value from our videos, we'd like you to consider subscribing to our channel, clicking on that like button, and sharing with others. Remember, a candle does not lose its value by giving light to others. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.